Yo, what's going on, guys? J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with some more Root Double Before Crime After Days Extended Edition. So, like I promised, this is going to be a full solid 2-hour video. Now, I'm either getting this out on Halloween or the day after Halloween. So, happy Halloween and or happy belated Halloween. So, yeah. My entire body hurts. I way overexerted myself when I was working out. And also, it is cold as hell. And that's something to say because I live in Florida. So, there you go. I did get this is kind of a little update to throw in there. But I did get the new Wi-Fi 6 card in. I got a lot of attention on that video. A lot of recommendations. Some useful, some not so useful. But yeah, so I ended up just getting a new Wi-Fi card. It's been working so far. It had some issues specifically with the browser. Like I could do other online features, but then the browser specifically was like not working. I resolved that after doing a whole shit ton more stuff to it. But yeah, hopefully that's the end of it. I have been thinking of upgrading my PC for a while. Because you know this thing is really old, but I mean obviously I mainly play visual novels and stuff, so that's kind of kept me from really doing anything crazy to it. But who knows? Maybe in the future I might do it. Anyways, without further ado, let's just jump right on back into it. So I believe that last time we left off, we went through a whole lot of options and stuff here. So essentially, what we got was. We ended up coming across. Okay, that's really annoying. Hold up. When Watase ran down the emergency staircase, you see if flames was still there. Okay, let's take a minute. Let's take a second here. So, last time we left off, we came across a room that had 3 dead bodies in it. 2 scientists who seemed to have been shot in the back like 1,000 times, and one of our fellow rescue workers, Dojima, who had been brutally fucking mangled. So, right now, the group has somehow convinced themselves that the killer is no longer in the facility, even though I really highly doubt that's the case. So, there's a killer / monster running around this fucking place. Likely the same one that caused us to lose our memories in the first place. There's still a lot of suspicious circumstances surrounding Yuri, as again she's been labeled as the girl you have to save / protect. Again, that's the second time it's happened in the story. So right now this fire's been going on. We briefly ran into, I believe it was Louise, who is one of the 3 kids wandering around that we'll see in the, I think, B route, because I think this is the A route. So we'll see her in the B route. For some reason she ran away. We had that voice in our head come back. I switched my theory from it being like a split consciousness between, within Watase, to it's just the telepathic communication between one of the students. So somehow they're watching, somehow they're surviving with the ever heightening radiation. But right now we're trying to take care of this fire on the on Area 4 here, in order to hopefully find some AD, because we are badly running low on it. On that note, it is also important to mention that we chose to take the half AD vial ourselves instead of letting the other girl take it, the lieutenant. I forget her name. But anyways, his Brocon's alarm beeped a second later. It read 4,452 MSV. That was a dangerous level of radiation to Watase, given that he'd only injected himself with a half-dose AD. His skin immediately felt uncomfortable, and his headache swiftly came back with a vengeance. But I can't just be the only one not doing anything here. He could see Kazumi and Jun holding 2 hoses as they desperately suppressed the fire, the sound of the Procon's alarm beeping in the background. Watase gnashed his teeth and quickly ran over to them. No, I'm not.
ああ、心配ない。
ですが、顔色が。
気遣いは無用だ。それより俺に手伝えることは？
Watase checked the area to find nearly all of it engulfed in flames. With the air full of heat waves and steam, every breath he took felt like it was setting his lungs on fire. That is so loud! Okay, hold up. Jesus fucking Christ, that is so obnoxious. Like, I mean, good lord, that is so loud. I can barely hear them. But figuring out was better than doing nothing. Watase started to look for a fire extinguisher when some of the nearby flames surged upward fiercely. A tongue of flame which had been licking at the ceiling nimbly waved towards the floor. This game has fucking sound effects. Even Watase could tell that whatever was happening was no laughing matter. But at that moment... Not now. A headache strong enough to numb his whole body hit Watase, forcing him to lean against the wall. Kazumi and Jun threw aside their hoses as they carried Watase from both sides. They did their best to essentially drag him over the landing of the emergency staircase, but then Watase turned around and witnessed a strange phenomenon. What's that? The smoke surrounding the fire turned yellow. Jun and Kazumi gasped when they saw it. This is not good, is it? It's coming. Though we didn't know what it was, Watase was sure of that. At that moment, all sound vanished from the world. It was like even time itself had stopped. 1 second before, Watase was hit with the death he knew was coming for him. A memory replayed in his head. Uh-oh. What happened? Things would probably have turned out differently if Watase had taken full AD back then, but it was far too late to regret it. The yellow flames then turned into a sinister black, and then... The red-hot gas that was swelling up through the block instantly incinerated the three of them into ashes. Oh my god. Alright. I may have made a bad decision. That's on me. Maybe I might have fucked up. Oh man, okay. Oh. Okay, awesome. I have nothing to say in my defense. But hey, this is exactly why I saved. This is exactly why I saved. Okay. Shortage, I think it was at. Okay, so I believe if we leave it as it is, we will end up getting the dosage. So we're going to switch it like that, I think. Watase and Jun reluctantly injected themselves with AD. Kazumi breathed a relieved sigh and spoke to Ukira and the others. Wait, what? I must have missed something. It must have been back here. Yeah, so this must be where I need to go back to. Okay. I mean, I'd imagine something like this, right? Like, we'll see.
これは命令です。今この私を
Oh, she still
Yeah,
argued back.
その半端
You
ない
motherfucker. God damn it. Okay, so... Again, call me dumb, because I kind of am, but I am still trying to figure out this thing. Okay, so maybe like this, right?
これは命令今この私をし
Kazumi's face was brimming with determination. When Watase and Jun saw that, they realized that there was no use in trying to persuade her. There we go. Okay. So I imagine that, again, each time this happens, I try and, like, figure this out a little bit more. So I guess if we maxed out our sympathy for her, then it would be like, that's essentially saying, oh, but I just feel so bad for her and I don't want to let her do that by herself kind of thing. But it's like, if we lower it, it's kind of like acknowledging her resolve in that respect. I am curious how this is going to make the whole fire in the basement thing play out any differently. I mean, she is a lot more responsible, so maybe she won't come rushing back down there when, you know, if she ends up passing out from a headache or whatever. So we'll see. Let's see.
森部立花の言う通りにしよう
Whatever. Watase and Jun hurriedly injected themselves with AD. Kazumi also injected herself with the damaged AD. She then turned to Ukida and the others and spoke.
お騒がせしました。これでそうね。
We've already seen all that.
ゆうりちゃんはどうする？確かにその方が何かと安全です。
Yeah, I mean, I think all this stuff is, I'm not even controlling the skipping anymore. This is all just happening on its own. Okay, here we go. So, that said, you don't have to do all that much. So long as you help out, I'm sure it's safe enough. That's good enough for me. She says, okay. Then everyone else with me. Yeah, this seems like a good balance. Okay, cool. Got it. We'll find some AD and give it to you. Just wait.
お願いします。
With those words serving as a signal to all of them, the group then split up to begin their search. I guess, yeah, whatever. I don't know. Listen, I made the decision in the heat of the moment. I thought that was what was best at the time. Watase, Jun, and Anna quickly went down the staircase so they could get down to B2, but the emergency staircase had completely collapsed. Yep, we've already done all that. Alright.
待って、この程度なら AD があれば問題ない数値のはずだよ。そうだったらこの火を消して。
Anna looked out into the fire at that moment, and when she did, her eyes suddenly widened. This is a student, yeah.
それよりここは汚染が激しいんだ
Yeah. But he didn't have time to hesitate. The girl was being constantly bathed in high-level radiation while they were standing around.
行こう、隊長。あの子を放っておけない。
Fuck, I keep hitting the wrong button for that. Let's not chase her. Oh, that's actually pretty. Let's save. Not quick save. Fuck, I keep hitting the wrong thing. Okay, I want to save here. I am curious. So we know that if we chase her, we may or may not pass out, but let's see what happens. She spoke in a clear voice as though she were trying to cheer herself up. But Watase, afraid of radiation exposure, hesitated. Oh, wait, what?
しかし
Oh, this is different. Those words finally snapped Watase out of it.
いや俺も行く
Watase broke off into a run, doing his best to catch up to Jun. They exited the connecting passageway and entered the inner ring. Jun then proceeded to run off towards the right. Wadase took off in the other direction looking for the girl. The alarm was getting louder and louder. Wadase suddenly felt a headache from the repeated echo of that sound. No, it's not because of the alarm. Okay, so yeah, the effects of the radiation, he finds the girl. And then he gets the telepathic, yep. But do we pass out again is the thing. We do. Okay, so we just pass out again. But then I wonder if we went back, and maybe there's a way to not chase after her, though.
行こう隊長あの子を放っておけない
Alright, let's see. So I would think, well, my only worry at that point was that, well, it is blue though, so this doesn't really have much to do with anything. So what if I'm just curious? I'm just kind of like messing around here. What if we lowered both of ours, right?
隊長の
Okay, so that literally did nothing. Cool. I'm just trying to see if maybe it's gonna have any kind of different dialogue. Obviously, it's not something that's gonna like change the like the outcome of what we do. Now that obviously you know it's blue, but okay. So Watase hesitated for a moment, but then okay. So all that did was just make us not hesitate. I'm gonna try one more thing. I know I'm fucking around a lot here, but I want to try stuff. Okay, yeah, so really nothing important. Okay, cool. We're gonna reload one last time, and we're gonna make ourselves out to be the really cool hero guy. Okay, cool. We go through all this. Awesome, we pass out. Come back over here.
Blah, blah, blah.
そうだったのか。
そうよ
ところで
三宮さんは内周と
Sonami got away. Blah, blah, blah.
どうして
わから
ない。
Okay, so if I remember correctly, this is like an event changer or something like that. So like as far as I understand, the blue ones are not really that important. They tend to just kind of change like small dialogue bits like we saw. The yellow ones I do think have something to do with actual actions being taken and yada yada. So these are like a bit more important. And then the red ones obviously are indicating that death is around the corner, essentially. So, I think last time I did up it like this and just kind of leave it around here. So I think I'll do the same thing this time. Blah, blah, blah.
ごめんな。
いいのよそれ
しかし
Yeah, okay.
彼女は汚染区域に逃げ込んだ。
So we can skip all this stuff and we can get back to where we need to be. Alright, he found the sea of flames still there. He could see Kazumi and Jun holding back the hoses, yada yada yada.
隊長
気遣い無用だ。
放水手伝ってもらいたいけど
Watase checked the area surrounding him as he listened to Jun. Alright, so everywhere except there is standing. Okay. So, in this situation, I would think, God, this fucking background noise is so obnoxious. We're gonna max that out, max those out, put a little bit more faith into June. Cool. Let's try it. Let's try it. I'm gonna load here just on the off chance. Just on the off chance. I loaded. I'm fucking retarded. No way did I just fucking load. I'm so fucking stupid. What did I do? Oh yeah, no, I left that at max. Like, lowered this. Okay, cool. I'm sorry. I know, I fucked up. Hey man, it's not my fault, bro. Alright, we're gonna up that pretty high. Whatever. Cool. It's not loading. Put it back low. We're gonna keep it exactly as it is. Cool. Okay, here we go. Alright, we're gonna save is what I wanted to do. Thank you. Jesus Christ. Okay. The air was full of steam. Uh-oh. He hesitated for a second. I didn't mean to hesitate. We know what happened last time. Let's go ahead and fall back, right? Surely. But would that be max sympathy? Let's think back to the last time. Last time when we lowered his thing, he stealed his resolve, but when we upped it, he did not steal his resolve. So let's try this maybe, right? No, firefighting is all about teamwork. I can't disobey a superior's orders. Okay, Watase quickly retreated with that thought. Nice. Okay, cool. Right? That's the good thing? That's the good ending? But as he ran up the emergency staircase, regret quickly welled up in his heart. Is this really okay? He then made it up to B1, was about to shut the fireproof door behind him, but then he heard a roar coming from downstairs. All of a sudden, something blew through the wide open door and knocked Watase off his feet. He slammed into the hallway floor and turned around as agony warped his face. The air caressing his face was hot. Black smoke spewed out of the stairwell. Uh-oh, did I get them killed? Did I get them killed? It appeared that an earth-shattering explosion had occurred back down on B2. All the color drained from Watase's face.
Tachibana! Moribe!
Before he knew it, he was running back into the stairwell, shouting the whole way. Black smoke obstructed his path. Intense heat burned his skin. But Watase paid none of that any heed and ran down the stairs. The regret of being the only one to retreat pierced him through the heart. The further down he got, the worse the heat became. Tachibana! Moribe! Please, I'm begging you, be alive! Watase ran down to B2 as he prayed for that from the bottom of his heart. And before long, he found the two of them. Lying in a world of black smoke, fire, and scorching heat. Their heads and faces had been completely charred black, leaving no way to distinguish them from one another other than their height and weight differences. There was little to no chance that they were still alive. But that reasonable assessment was completely cast aside in favor of Watase's emotions. I fucked up so bad. Watase screamed that and leapt into the flames. His line of sight was dyed orange. All the fluid in Watase's eyes instantly evaporated, leaving him stranded in a black world. Where are they? His hair was reduced to ash, and a foul stench filled his nose. Next, he smelled meat cooking. But he soon lost the ability to tell what it was, for his nose's mucous membrane had burned up. He was hot. For some reason, his whole body was hot. Even though he'd lost his sense of sight and smell, that agony still remained. And before he knew it, Watase was lying on the ground. Okay. His cheek pressed against the white-hot floor, making a sizzling sound as it did. He no longer knew anything. Nothing except for the fact that he was burning. Watase, with his sight still robbed from him, Watase turned towards him and reached out. But his fingers never touched anything. And thus Watase breathed his last as he apologized to Kazumi and Jun. Alright, man. Well, what do you want me to do? I figured, okay, last time we didn't retreat. And so we died. This time we did retreat and we still died. The result of Watase forgetting the importance of teamwork and leaving Kazumi and Jun to die. You may be able to revert this fate by setting Watase, Kazumi, and Jun sentences to a very high value at the SS input just before this ending. Thank you for that. Thank you for telling me exactly what I need to do, because clearly I need the hand holding. Because I can't get this fucking right now, can I? That's what I thought. Listen, man. I'm used to fucking, I'm used to simple yes or no options. I'm not used to all this sympathy shit. Alright, look, I'm doing what you're saying. I'm doing what you're saying. Wadase checked the area around him as he listened to Jun. Yada yada yada. No, firefighting is all about teamwork. There must be something I can do too. Wadase stood frozen in place. Oh yeah, I was supposed to know that he was gonna watch out for something strange. Come on, am I the only one who's like, am I the only one calling this out, or am I just dumb? The two of them shouted that and continued hosing down the fire. But this fire looks far beyond the control of human hands at this point. Just as Wadase thought that. Some of the nearby flames surged upward fiercely. A tongue of flame which had been licking at the ceiling nimbly waved towards the floor. It was almost like the writhing of a giant snake. Even Wadase could tell that whatever was happening was no laughing matter. Wadase opened the emergency staircase door. Kazumi and Jun threw aside their hoses at the same time and ran for the stairs. Wadase followed them on nigh instinct. The whole group crowded their way up the stairs as fast as they could. Wadase closed the fireproof door to the stairwell as soon as they made it back to B1, and not even a second later, the door shook with a roar. Wadase was knocked down by the shockwave occurring on the other side. He landed on his side and felt a keen pain run to the side around his ribs. He quickly shut the door again as he groaned. It looked like an explosion had happened downstairs, and the blast had made it all the way up the stairs. If we'd been even a second slower. That thought sent shivers down Watase's spine. Yeah, if we would have been a second slower, we would have been fucking reduced to half. I get it. Alright, fuck me. So... okay, so I guess the whole thing with the first bit primarily was that I took the half vial of AD. So because I took the half vial of AD and exposed myself so long by running around, I think it was B2, that's why I ended up like almost passing out again as we were trying to escape, which ultimately led to all of us dying. So because this time I had a full dosage, and because Kazumi being down there, she was obviously up here on B1 for most of that time, so it's not like she was exposed for long enough to end up passing out like I did. That ended up being creating a situation where all of us could run away, which fucking goddamn. But cool, I guess. Whatever, man.
フラッシュオーバーだよ。火がエリア全体に回った時、急激な熱膨張が発生して爆発現象が起こるんだ。さっき炎が生き物みたいにうねったでしょ。あれがその前兆だよ。
だから逃げろと言ったのか。
If they'd stayed there, they would all be burning to death right about now. Wadase gulped as it fully hit him just how ferocious that fire had been. His ribs still ached from when he'd been knocked to the floor.
でもまあ、全員無事でよかった。
He looked at Kazumi as he said that, only to find her leaning against the wall, her hand gripping her head.
どうした、橘？
いえ、急に頭痛とめまいが。頭痛？まさか AD なしで地下2階に降りたから？
The fiery hallway they just escaped from had a reading of about 4,300 MSV according to the Procyon. That was over the first danger standard, an extremely dangerous zone to those without any AD.
おい、大丈夫なのか、橘？
大丈夫です。問題ありません。
Okay, I'm gonna save because obviously I have a bit of a fucking terrible history, but I think in this kind of situation, it'd probably be better to up our to like leave the sympathy maxed out like this. Because I would think that would make me show concern for her, which I think is kind of warranted in this situation.
でもまさか放射線で
放射線障害がこんなに早く自覚症状として現れることはないはずです。おそらく一酸化炭素の吸いすぎでしょう。
But her face was still a bit pale. Oh, oh no, never mind. That was because I made a decision.
一酸化炭素の吸いすぎってそれは少し楽観的すぎるんじゃないのか。俺だって汚染区域に入った直後ぶっ倒れたんだぞ。まともに AD を投与してないお前にとっては余計に危ない。
おっしゃらずとも分かっています。
Oh, my bad. Watase instinctively shut up at Kazumi's sharp voice. Damn it. All I did was... What the fuck? What? I drove her into a corner. Okay, let me see what happens if I'm not fucking sympathetic to her. Sorry that I showed fucking concern.
問題ありません。
でも
Maybe she's right, but we can't be optimistic, can we? Even Watase had fainted with a violent headache right after he'd entered a contaminated zone. It was way too dangerous for someone without a full ampule of AD in their system like Kazumi. Kazumi spoke with a firm voice as Watase's thought over that.
一度制御室に戻りましょう。
Oh, okay, so
下の階は
depending on the sympathy slider, we either voice that out loud and get her pissed off, or we don't voice it out loud and don't get her pissed off. What the fuck? Kazumi then started walking on ahead, followed shortly afterwards by Watase and Jun. So that dosage of AD really hadn't been enough for her. Though injecting oneself with a drug stored in a damaged container was already in and of itself extremely dangerous, we need to find some AD on the double. Watase then whispered into Jun's ear.
森部、立花はきつそうだ。俺たちが支えてやらなきゃ。
分かってるよ隊長。分かってる。
Watase and Jun nodded at each other and quickly marched towards the control room. Okay, we're what, 30 minutes into the episode already? And we've just now made any kind of fucking progress? Listen, man, this fucking... Okay, at first I thought this system was pretty cool. And it is, don't get me wrong. But this all feels a little bit fucking vague to me. Now, granted, I know that I'm going back each time and, you know, like if I fuck up, I go back and I do it all over again. That's just how I play these games. I mean, like, I do that all the time. So, but again, I feel like this game is by far the hardest to decipher on these fucking endings. I mean, you know, like, Fata Morgana was more clear. What is it called? I'm losing my train of thought. The Shell, Inferno is more clear. All the other games that I've played thus far has been significantly more clear in what their options will dictate or lead to. And I mean obviously, right? Like this one doesn't really give you that. But man, oh man. These things are stressing me out. I'm aging by playing this fucking game. Anyways, when they got to the control room, Anna, Yuri, and Ukita were already there. No sooner had they passed through the doorway than did a bitter shout echo through the room.
くそ、権限が奪えない。どうしたんだ、浮田さん。
Ukita and the others turned around in surprise.
おかえりなさい、3人とも。
君たちか。椿山さんから話は聞いたよ。大変だったみたいだね。ああ、だがもう大丈夫だ。
None of Watase's group said anything about Kazumi's deteriorating condition.
それより何かあったのですか？権限が奪えないとは？
うん。核兵器の開閉操作について僕も力を尽くしてはみたのだが、まずプロテクトが厳重でとても手がつけられん。さらに3つの制御用コンピューターが相互にシステムを監視している。無理に権限を奪っても即座に奪い返される仕様になっているようだ。 僕の技術では正直どうにもなりそうにない。
そうか。
Everyone's faces fell at Ukita's explanation. Though it had been only a half-hearted hope, it still came off as a big disappointment.
だが代わりと言ってはなんだがいくつか分かったことがある。みんなモニターを見てくれ。
Ukita then operated the control panel, bringing up what appeared to be a map on screen. Ah, so now we actually have a map.
これは
このラボの詳細なマップさ。これが今いる地下1階で
Floor B1. Where's that? Oh, I guess here. 'Cause that's, I would imagine that's C
こっ
for
ちが地下
controller.
2階だ。
Floor B2.
こりゃ助かる。今まで施設の構造が分かりにくかったからな。
構造だけじゃなく元凶もある程度ここから確認できるようだ。それで分かったんだが、まずやはり地上に続く全ての隔壁は閉まっているようだ。他に出入り口もない。ついでに地上の隔壁の前まで通じている非常階段も第2エリア内周塔以外のものは全て
Yeah,
壊れてい
fucking
るようだ。
conveniently.
そうか。
It was more or less what they'd expected, but it was still disappointing to hear. Cosme pointed to the lower half of the map.
この赤く塗りつぶされている箇所は？
ああ、そこは火災が起きているエリアらしい。
Just like Cosme had said, the whole area was dyed red. And the letters next to it read Area 4B2. It was the fire that Watase, Kazumi, and Jun had narrowly escaped from.
じゃあこの赤いところって全部
B2 of Area 4 wasn't the only area that was red. Area 5 was full of red dots, while almost all of Area 6's outer ring was filled with red.
これらの火災によって隔壁などが破損し、放射能漏れが起きているのかもしれないな。
プロキオンの数値が上昇しているのはそのせいか。
破損した隔壁を塞げば数値の上昇は止められるかな。
難しいだろう。破損部がどこにあるかわからないし、多数ある可能性が高い。
That's what it fucking looks like. This whole system is fucking dog ass, dude. Like, the bulkhead. Like, oh yeah, we have bulkheads that trap you inside. But all the fucking bulkheads are, you know, broken, cracked, or leaking.
そもそもキューバしのぎの補修などで放射線を抑えられるわけもない。
しかし参ったな。これじゃ捜索もままならないぞ。
The lower floor was not completely off limits to them, and they still needed to find Kazumi some AD quickly. And with all the areas ahead of them on fire, there was also the survivors' safety to worry about.
では直ちに考えましょう。この情報を踏まえた上でこれからどうすべきか。
The group meekly nodded.
まず早急に必要なのは AD だな。立花をいつまでも今の状態のままにしておくわけにはいかないし。
確かに。でもどこを探せばいいのかしら。
捜索を予定していた下の階は炎上中だしね。
Suddenly, Yuri, who hadn't said a word so far, broke her silence.
待ってる間にこんなの見つけたんですけど。
ん？
He looked at Yuri to see that she was holding something that looked like a small notebook.
これは何？ゆりちゃん。
この施設の防災マニュアルみたいです。ここにこんな項目が。
Yuri opened to a certain page and showed it to everyone. The group walked over to her and looked at it. Alright, Disaster Prevention Manual 2030 edition. Before a case end. In the event of an emergency in the facility such as a fire or accident, please be wary of a case end. Do as this manual says and first secure some AD. And in the chance that a case end does indeed occur, please take the following countermeasures. The first thing that you should do in the event of a case end is administer yourself with AD. Though the passages leading to the surface will be sealed off with bulkheads, this is no cause for panic. Please remain calm, go to the nearest room you can find, and wait for help to arrive.
9時間も待てなんて無茶言うわね。
いや、それはシステムエラーのせいだ。本来はもっと早く隔壁が開くはずなんだ。
待て、続きがある。
There's AD on reserve in every area. We recommend that all personnel look into and confirm whether AD in your own area is being kept. In the emergency that the AD has been damaged and you do not have enough, there should be plenty of spare AD in areas 1, 3, and 5. Please obtain some as quickly as you can and administer it. There were a few more entries after that appeared to be the only information that actually pertained to their current situation. Save. Okay. Cool. we're not going to decide on anything just yet. Watase broke out into a smile at this new knowledge.
予備の AD を多数配備か。いい情報を見つけてくれたな。ありがとう、ユーリ。
Yuri gave a smile tinged with a faint hint of joy.
それにしても第1、第3、第5エリアに AD があるって書いてあるけど、そんなのあったかしら。
そういえば第1エリアで AD が5本入ったメディカルボックスを拾ったよ。それのことかな。
思ったより少ないな。まあ本来はそれでも十分なんだろうが。
I mean, a lot of it would have just been destroyed in the fires and the explosions.
第一エリアも当初は火災が激しかったです。それ
では第3エリアには？
メディカルボックスはあったが空だった。すでに誰かに持ち去られたのだろう。
残念ね。じゃあ
I mean, there's
まだ捜
Area
索していない
5,
場所
but
は
right
ない。
now we're stuck in Area 4. We can't even get to Area 5.
あることはあるのですが、
Kazumi looked at the monitor.
地下1階第3エリアの外周とここはカードスロットが壊れてて入れませんでした。
See Area 3's outer ring. Oh yeah, over here.
そういえばそうだったな。
The map showed one of the 3 routes to the place that was blocked off by the fire, and according to Kazumi, one of the others had a security slot that had been incinerated. And the final route, the only one Watase had personally been through, had a broken card slot.
通路を塞いでいる火を消せれば入れるんだろうけど、あれはもう人力での消火は難しいだろうし。
Ukida suddenly spoke up when he heard Jun's comment.
待てよ。人力では無理と言うならば。
I mean, maybe they can bring the sprinkler system back online, right?
よし、うまくすれば AD の問題も火災も一度に解決するかもしれんぞ。
何？浮田さん、何か思いついたのか？
ああ、こっちのマップを見てくれ。
Ukida proceeded to operate the control panel again. A strange map then popped up, one that did not appear to be of B1 or B2. In the first place, it didn't have any detailed descriptions of anything apart from Area
これ
3.
はどこの地図だ？
これは1階と地下1階の間にある設備関係が収められた区画だ。屋根裏部屋のようなところだと思ってくれたまえ。で、見てほしいのはここ。エンジンルームさ。
Those words caused Watase to remember the note he'd found earlier.
エンジンルームって。
消火システムがある場所ですね。
Exactly.
ああ、現在スプリンクラーも何もかも停止しているだろう。消火システム自体が何らかの理由で停止させられているようだが、そこに行けばシステムを復旧させられそうだ。火災に対してかなり有効だろう。
本当か？そのエンジンルームにはどうやって行くんだ？
それなんだよ。この地図によればここだ。先ほど話に出ていた入れないと。
So we need to find a way to get in through here. Well, I mean, it looks like we theoretically should be able to get in there through this little section here in the bottom. It's just that there's a fire in the way, in the passageway.
つまり地下1階の第3エリア外周棟のこの部屋にエンジンルームに続くはしごがある。だからなんとかこの棟に入ることさえできれば
火災も鎮火し AD も入手できるってわけか。
Those words brought the whole group's spirits up.
隊長、これは福音ですよ。
だね、浮田さんグッジョブ。
いや
Ukida scratched his head in embarrassment.
だけど問題はどうやってそこに入るかですね。
そうね。
Uh-oh.
考えられ
Alright, guys, here we go. Maybe we should try to put out those fires in the burning hallway.
いえ、それは火星が激しくて危険です。
Okay, so I guess this is going to be between these two. So let's see what Cosme has to say.
私は壊れたカードスロットを修理することを提案します。
What do we do? Watase thought over it for a second and soon came to his answer. Okay, so that's going to be all we get. So Anna is proposing that we go back to those fires and try and put them out so we can get through that hallway, while Kazumi is proposing that we instead opt to repair the card readers. Okay, again, I'm going to put myself in the shoes of these characters. We already have Kazumi, who has been exposed to radiation and is clearly susceptible to it because she hasn't had a proper dose of AD. The fire itself, we've seen firsthand, has the easy power to obliterate us in fucking seconds. And we've said multiple times now that trying to put out that fire is beyond human help. It's just not possible right now, and it'd be too much of a risk, especially when one of our most capable rescue firefighters is in the condition that she's in. So I would say we opt to go with Tachibana's plan instead of trying to put out those fires. I think this would be how it is.
立花の意見に従おう。カードスロットが修理できないか、みんなで挑んでみようじゃないか。
I'm getting the hang of this. I am getting the hang of this.
だね。3人寄れば文殊の知恵って言うしさ、6人もいればなんとかなるかも。
皆さん、お知恵を拝借できますか？
もちろん。
まあ救助は素人だがね、機械には多少詳しいんで役に立てるかもしれない。
私は特に得意なことはないですけど、一応行きます。
いるだけでも十分だよ。多分ゆうりちゃんがいるだけでおっさんたち張り切るからさ。
Alright, calm down, Jin.
おっさんね。
Watase and Ukita looked at each other and exchanged dry smiles. Ukita's face turned serious a moment later.
そうと決まれば早速準備しよう。まずこのマップをみんなの PDA にダウンロードしておこう。
ええ、それじゃあお願いします。
Finally, we get a map. Everyone took out their PDAs at Kazumi's declaration, except for Yuri.
ユーリは PDA 持ってないのか？
お母さんが持たせてくれないんです。
厳しいお家なんだね。私の親みたいだわ。
そういう家もたまにあるわよ。
At any rate, everyone except for Yuri downloaded the map into their PDA.
あとはカードスロットを修理するためのドライバーかな。レスキュー隊員の諸君持ってないかい？
アーミーナイフなら常備してるよ。ちょっと使いづらいけど、一応プラスマイナスドライバーもついてる。
十分だ。それでやってみよ
う。Ukita took the knife. Watase then plopped a hand on his shoulder.
準備万端だな。それじゃ行こうか。
The group left the control room. The group headed for Area 4 to Area 3's inner ring. While en route, they looked over their newfound maps.
やっぱ地図があると現在地が分かりやすいな。
今までは正直自分がどこにいるのかも分かりにくかったからね。
Oh my god, excuse me. They hurried as they talked. If you can tell, I just woke up. Alright. Let's repair this thing. They were now in the connecting passageway from Area 3's inner ring to its outer ring, the one whose door had failed to open earlier. Why did they try a security card just to be sure? But it didn't respond at all.
やっぱり故障してるみたいだな。
Well, if it didn't respond, it's probably just an electrical issue.
ではお願いします、浮田さん。
う。ああ、できるかどうかはわからないが修理してみよう。
Ukita took out the army knife and used it to start fiddling with the card slot.
どうだ、浮田さん。なんとかなりそうか？
難しいな。できるとしても時間がかかるかもしれない。
Then it might be best to try the other route as well. Watase looked at Kazumi as he thought that, but she was rubbing her arms.
立花、どうした？
あ、いえ、なんだか肌がピリピリと痛むような感覚が。
何？
Watase started panicking. He hadn't realized up to this point, but it had been 45 minutes since their last injection of AD. What's Tachibana's cumulative exposure at now? If that damaged AD's effects didn't fully manifest, does that mean she can only handle under 2000 MSV? But we don't have even a single AD on us right now. At this rate, we'll all...
浮田さん、修理変わろうか？
森部、焦らせてはいけません。どうか浮田さん、ご自分のペースで。
And as Kazumi said that, Yuri suddenly spoke from behind them all. Watase turned around as soon as he heard
煙
that.
どこだ？
あそこ
Yuri had just pointed to the center of the passageway when... Oh great, nice. The floorboards were blown away and a fire came jetting out at them.
どうして
What the
あんなところ
fuck?
から炎が？
森部消火ホースの用意を。
了解。
There was a fire hydrant right by the gate. Jun promptly took a fire hose out of it and handed the nozzle to Kazumi.
皆さんは後ろへ下がっていてください。
副隊長、放水行くよ。
Kazumi I can't speak. Kazumi turned to the advancing flames and began hosing them down. However, more floorboards were blown away. One flame after another kept spreading out at them.
退路が。
Nice, cool. Even with Kazumi in a weakened state, the flames were progressing slowly, so it seemed she was doing her best.
ゆうりちゃん、体を低くして。みんなも煙を吸わないように。
Anna followed her advice and held Yuri in her arms. She then crouched down and started shouting.
浮田さんまだかかりそう。
今やってるがすまない。正直できるかどうか。
It wasn't just Anna. Everyone was speechless.
こんなゲートさえなければ。
Jun kicked the gate. At that moment, debris fell from the ceiling. Watase looked up, then stared intently at what lay there.
エアダクト。
Watase quickly scanned the path to the duct. It apparently went right over the gate and straight into the outer ring. He then remembered what Ukida had said earlier. The air ducts have radioactive material filters all set up all over in them. They block all potential routes to the surface in other areas. Then maybe there isn't a filter in there blocking the way to the outer ring.
森部、このエアダクト通れるか？
試してみよう。もしかしたら向こう側から開けられるかも。
Wait, what did he say? The air ducts have a radioactive material filter set up all over in them. They block all potential routes to the surface and other areas. So then, wouldn't it be blocking the route to the outer ring? Or maybe, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, yay! Yeah, there's a route! Let's go! But the air duct was blocked by a grate.
浮田さん、アーミーナイフ返して。
え、あ
Jun took the army knife from Ukida. What are we doing here? Let's lower him, right? Because in a situation like this, I feel like that's what you want to do. We'll see. We'll save just in case, and then we'll see where this leads.
私があの網を外して向こう側に行く。体のでかい隊長より私の方が敵役だよ。
よし行け。俺が肩車してやる。
Okay, nice. That worked.
おっす。
Watase then lifted Jun on his shoulders, allowing her to begin dismantling the grate. The screws began falling, first 1, then 2, and 3, and 4. Finally, the grate itself fell. It had only taken a mere 30
早い
seconds.
なおい。
器用なのが取り柄でね。
Jun left those words behind as she climbed into the air duct in the blink of an eye.
頼むぞ、森部。
But the flames behind them had only grown fiercer during this time. Kazumi groaned in pain as heat waves surged from the fire.
森部さんお願い。
Anna still had her arms wrapped around Yuri, and as Watase also prayed for the same thing from the bottom of his heart. Nice. The security gate opened.
やった。
Joy filled the group's faces all at once. But something was strange. The other side of the gate was full of smoke, and Jun was nowhere to be seen. An ominous feeling took a grip of Watase, so he quickly scanned the area
森部。
and spotted Jun lying on the floor.
森部、どうした？しっかりしろ。
Watase frantically ran over to Jun and shook her body. But she didn't respond no matter how much he called out to her. Her eyes were rolled back. She'd clearly lost consciousness. Instinctively sensing danger, Watase took Jun in his arms and ran back to the passageway. Uh-oh. So this is clearly poisonous or something. Yuri and Anna groaned in agony and collapsed on top of each other.
ユリ、先生。
Three of them had collapsed one after the other. Kazumi ran over, having noticed this unexpected turn of events.
どうしたのですか？
Her face then went as pale as a ghost sheet.
これは
Or as a ghost sheet,
酸
as
欠
sheet.
空気。
なんだそれは。
一呼吸で気絶しうる一種の窒性ガスです。火災等により空気中の酸素濃度が極度に低下すると発生するんです。吸えば陸にいながら溺れるような状態になり、意識は断絶、最悪死に至ります。
Ukita then started shouting in a shrill voice after that.
まずい。ここも空調が壊れてて換気が追いついていないんだ。
じゃあ外周灯にはそのガスが充満して。
The gas had been sealed in the outer ring so far because the gate had been closed up until this point. But now,
これじゃ進めない。
to make matters worse, their way back was blocked by the fire. There's nowhere to run. If Watame, Kazumi, and Ukita were all to lose their consciousness, it probably wouldn't be long before they were incinerated by the flames. They'd be fine if they could put out the source of the fire, but they didn't even know where it was. Well, hey, I mean, at this point, I would just start fucking hightailing it to the system, right? Yeah, we're right here. We just need to get over here. I would just start fucking booking it, honestly. Kazumi scrunched her face in deep thinking for a moment. Then she made up her mind and spoke.
仕方ありません。呼吸を止めてエンジンルームまで突っ切りましょう。
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
地図を見る限りエンジンルームまでの距離は約30メートルくらいです。無酸素運動でも問題ないはず。
だが倒れた人たちはどうする。
We gotta
椿
leave
山さん
him,
は私
right?
が担ぎます。
Oh, no, okay.
隊長は森部と優里さんを。
Two people at once? Lock the fuck in, Watase. Come on. Okay, so I would imagine something like this, right? That looks about right. I'm supposed to run and hold my breath while carrying two people? That worry crossed his mind for a second, but Kazumi saw through Watase's concerns and quickly appended her statement.
隊長ならできます。ご自分を信じてください。
いや無理だろ。二人も背負ってなんて。
You dumb motherfucker. God damn it. I thought I did the right thing. Did I not do the right thing? Oops. Boom. Here we go. So, I had it something like this last time, right? So sympathy. Maybe like this? I don't know. Maybe we try it.
隊長。
いや
Okay, I'm doing something wrong here. Clearly.
いいからやりなさい。
Just do it already. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, so maybe we just need to have full faith in both of us, right? Maybe we leave it like this.
隊長な。
Okay, there we go. Because it took me a second, but then I remembered, I'm pretty sure beforehand when we were choosing whether to run or like abandon Jun and Kazumi before that fire exploded in the hallway, we had to like lower our own sympathy level of ourselves or so, I don't know, it was something. It was fucking something. Anyways, yay, we figured it out. Cool. Her voice filled Watase's spirit with fire. He felt self-confidence well up in him.
分かった。任せろ。
それでこそ隊長です。
Kazumi smiled for a second, then grew stern again and continued.
浮田さんは申し訳ありませんが、ご自分で走っていただけますか。
分かった。やってみよう。
助かります。
Kazumi propped Anna up on her shoulder at the same time she said this. Watase did the same with Jun, making sure to copy the way Kazumi had done it. Oop. He then held Yuri with his other hand. So light. The two of them combined had to weigh about 100 kilograms, yet they felt light to
よ
Watase.
し。行くぞみんな。
はい。
The three nodded at each other and started racing down the connecting passageway. They held their breaths through the hallways full of white smoke and oxygen-deficient air. Smoke stung their eyes, causing them to tear up. It's far. He'd only traveled 30 meters, but it felt extraordinarily long to him. But the weight of the two lives he bore gave Watase strength. I've got to hang in there. If I faint, Yori and Moribe will die too. As he kicked off the ground with those thoughts sprinting through him, Kazumi suddenly stopped in front of a room. Did we make it? Kazumi took a card out of her pocket and inserted it into the slot. The group filed into the room right when the door opened. There was a ladder in there, just as Ukida had said. The air in there hadn't been polluted at all. Wadase quickly shut the door and took a huge breath. Nice. Kazumi and Ukida were also struggling to catch their breath. But Ukida fell to his knees with a thud.
浮田さん、大丈夫ですか？
ひどいめまいがガスを少し吸ってしまったようだ。
But none of the gas had gotten into the room. They were safe for the time being, but Wadase realized they weren't out of the woods just yet. The AD won't last much longer. According to his watch, it was currently 11:10 a.m. Not only were there just 6 minutes left until their prior dosage wore off, but they didn't have any AD at all. We're screwed. Is there anything we can do? The manual had said that there should be spare AD in Area 3, but it was very probable that this was in the outer ring. But they couldn't search the area with that gas still filling the hallways. Before we can do that, we have to find out what's keeping the sprinkler system off. Reactivate it, put out the source of the fire, wait for the ventilation to finish, then look for the AD. It's useless. It'll take way too long. But taking their time was simply not an option. Didn't we have an oxygen tank with us? I swear to God we had an oxygen tank with us. I think it was in the tips, right? Unlocked. Here we go. Air jack, engine cutter, air tank. Yeah, we had an air tank. So, well, we had an air tank, but I think the actual masks themselves were broken. Was the problem. Yeah, so since the faceplates were damaged, the air tanks could no longer be useful for respiration. Even if they tried to get rid of the gas and restore the sprinkler system, it'd be for naught if they couldn't find AD. Everyone here would probably die. Alright, well, let's go ahead and save. No, wait. If I die looking for AD, then it'd all be for nothing. Even if they went looking for the AD after restarting the sprinkler system, it might not take as much time as they expected. Then they wouldn't have to go very long without any AD. The cumulative exposure probably wouldn't increase all that much. Should I prioritize my own safety and look towards precautions, or should I brave the danger to find AD for everyone? Oof. I don't think it's such a terrible idea for us to go out there on our own. They're safe in here. There's oxygen in here. And while I'm running around, they can try and look at and work out the sprinkler system. I don't think it's the worst idea. Look at all this. Okay, so we really have some shit to fucking work with here. Okay. I would assume it'd be something like this, right? Surely? Wadase had already figured out the answer to that question.
立花、みんなを上に連れてってくれ。
隊長、どうするおつもりで？
俺はもう一度ガスの中に入り、AD を探してくる。
Wadase said that, took a deep breath and rushed out of the room.
隊長、お待ちください、隊長。
Kazumi's cries fell on deaf ears. And there, mind you, there was no red in that circle. So this isn't a death flag, all right? At least not yet. It'll get there more than likely. Wadase ran through the poisonous air. He kept his breath held completely all the while. He believed that there was AD in one of the several offices that lined the outer ring. The first room yielded no luck. Oh, and that's another thing as well. He should be able to breathe in these rooms because the doors would have blocked them off, right? So it's not like he's having to hold his breath the entire time. But there was an iron box lying in the second room. A medical box. Wadase ran over to it and opened it up. Inside of it was some AD. but only 2 ampules of it. This isn't enough. Watase shoved the AD in his pocket and tossed the medical box aside. He needed 4 more to keep everyone, especially Kazumi, alive. Watase gritted his teeth and ran into the next room. But there's no A to be found there, nor in the room after that, or even in the room after that one. God damn it, there's nothing here! Going through his second round of anaerobic exercise was particularly harsh on Watase, though it was still easier than it had been when he'd carried Jun and Yuri. This would be so much easier if I could just breathe. His lungs were seeking oxygen so desperately that his heart felt like it was going to explode. He put up with it and entered the next room, only to be greeted by a swaying of flames. Save! Pitch black smoke spread, sending a striking pain through his eyes. Great. So not only do I have to hold my breath, but now I'm against fire? If there was any AD in here, he had to get it now or it'd be incinerated. But Watase could very well lose his life for real searching in a place like this. Okay, I might have fucked up there. Not good. Let's go ahead and get out of here. I can't hold out much longer. Can I make it? No, I can do this. Oh, I did not. Okay, my bad. Watase stilled his resolve and stood his ground. He wiped his tears and looked around carefully. And soon enough, he spotted a medical box in gap between the flames. Is there anything in it? He frantically ran over to the box. Inside of it were 5 ampules of AD. Yes, they're here. Watase grabbed the box and took it with him. He then mustered his strength and fled from the room. Hey, all according to plan. I totally did not mean to try and run out of that room and save myself. That was all according to plan. But he didn't have any strength left. His consciousness was fading from oxygen deprivation. His feet were as heavy as lead and tears filled his eyes, distorting his line of sight. Damn it, I've hit my limit. Watase walked through the darkness, still holding his breath. Let me get this AD to everyone, if nothing else. He leaned against the wall and fumbled his way down the hall. Before long, his hand came into contact with something soft. A hand? Someone's hand was firmly gripping Watase's. Watase wiped his tears and looked in front of him. Kazumi was standing there. Tachi Bana. He called out to her in a voice that wasn't a voice. Kazumi also wordlessly replied to him. She appeared to have said, Captain. Kazumi lent Watase her shoulder and then broke off into a mad dash. They reached the room with the ladder and practically dived into it. Both of them took deep breaths once the door was closed. Let's go! Watase took out the AD he'd retrieved as he continued to pant.
それよりほら AD これでみんな助かるぞ
Kazumi gave him a pointed look.
すまないお前にはまた心配をかけちまったな
Watase was prepared to face another scolding from her, but instead, Kazumi gave him a sweet smile.
本当に無茶ばかりして
叱らないのか
英雄的な行動は推奨できませんが今回の功績は認めざるを得ないでしょう
そうなのかよかった
ええ
Kazumi said that and held her hand out to Watase. It was right at that moment that Kazumi's watch alarm went off.
AD 投与の時間です上に行きましょう
ああ
Watase took Kazumi's hand and climbed up the ladder. And soon enough... Oh wow, this place is fucking big, Jesus Christ. They reached the engine room. Jun, Yuri, and Anna were already lying there, and Ukita was sitting next to
よ
them.
し皆に AD を投与してやろう
手分けしましょう3本こちらへ
Watase and Kazumi soon began injecting everyone. First Jun, then Ukita, then Anna, then Yuri. And last, they injected themselves.
次バイタルチェックします
Kazumi then removed her vital check and wrapped it around everyone's wrists one by one. Watase watched with bated breath as she checked everyone's blood pressure and temperature, only for her to finish and start speaking with a relieved tone of voice.
チェック終了全員条件付きでクリーン皆さん気を失っていますがすぐに回復すると思います
Nice. Watase then breathed a huge sigh of relief.
みんな無事でよかった
ええしばらく休んでいれば大丈夫そうです
解毒剤とかは必要ないのか？
酸欠空気は人体に極めて有害ですが、毒性はありませんからね。新鮮な空気を吸っていれば大丈夫です。
よし、じゃあ立花はみんなを見ていてくれ。俺は今のうちに消火システムとやらを起動させてくる。
でもそれってどこにあ
I'm
るん
about
で
to
しょ
say,
う？
this place is fucking ginormous. Kazumi examined her surroundings. Just as you'd said, there were various sized pipes and pieces of equipment strewn all over the place. It was difficult to tell where anything was here.
何か見取り図のようなものはないか？
He looked around with that thought in mind, and eventually spotted a machine with a small monitor on it located by the ladder.
あれは？
Watase and Kazumi ran up to the machine and found the following written on the screen. Engine room engineer terminal menu. Electronics menu, manual screen, work and management screen, editing screen. Please touch the screen you wish to view. It appeared they were electronics manuals for the staff who supervised the engine room. Watase decided to tap the electronics manual first, causing the contents of the screen to change. WX particle amplifier operation manual, filter, force circulation pump, plumbing maintenance, switchboard, dry suppressor, full automatic duster.
題名だけじゃどういう内容なのかがよくわからないな。
That's what I got Ukida.
この WX 粒子増幅器運用マニュアルというのは？
Kazumi pressed that section, changing the screen yet again. It drew up a graph of a cylindrical machine, along with a manual's table of contents. But there wasn't anything important listed in it.
消火システムとは関係ないみたいですね。
くそ、消火システムのマニュアルはないのか。
Watase tried to fiddle around with the screen some more, but then
待て。
Ukida called out in a pained voice as he kept sitting on the floor.
浮田さん、大丈夫なのか？
ああ、なんとかね。
Ukida stood up and shook his head.
それより消火システムの場所なら僕が知ってる。入所当時ここに見学しに来たことがあるからね。向こうの奥の方だ。案内しよう。
そうか、助かるよ。
ではお手数ですがお願いします。
Ukida nodded and started walking on unsteady feet. Watase followed him with a similar stumble in his steps. We've been through some shit, haven't we? I mean, we get trapped down here. Watase fucking bangs his head and loses his memory. We're trying to fight fires, find survivors. We're trying to collect AD in order to stay alive as the radiation levels slowly rise. We survived, explosions, fucking electrical traps, oxygen deprived air. I mean, we've really been through the fucking ringer. And we got a killer on the loose still. Ukida weaved his way through the gaps between the labyrinth of pipes. Watase followed close by, making sure Ukida didn't lose his balance. Ukida pointed further down the path towards an object that had come into view.
確かあの大きなタンクが消火剤の詰まっているタンクだ。水や窒素ガスなども詰まっている。
窒素ガス？
消火作用があるんだよ。例えばブレインセルがあるような場所では水を使用できないだろ。
なるほどな。じゃああのやたら太いパイプは何なんだ？
Next to the tank was a thick pipe that crossed into the engine's room ceiling.
あれは確か原子炉の冷却水用のパイプだったかな。近くにある湖から水を取っているんだ。
湖か。
An idea suddenly flashed through Watase's head.
そうだ、浮田さん。あのパイプの中を伝って湖まで脱出できないかな？
We'd probably drown.
不可能だ。
なぜ？
冷却水用のパイプだと言ったろ。あのパイプの中には
Yeah.
水が高速で循環している。パイプ内に入るために穴を開けたりしたら凄まじい勢いで水があふれ、この地下部分が丸ごと水没してしまう。全員死ぬぞ。
そうか。水の流れを止める方法は？
わからんが、仮にあったとしてもどのみち脱出は不可能だ。湖までの距離は約500メートル。息を止めたままそこまで行くつもりかね。
じゃあ空気ボンベを使えば？
それは実にいい考えだ。全員分のボンベとマスクがどこかにあるならね。
And our masks are all broken.
まあそれがあったとしても、冷却に使われた水は原子炉の熱で熱されている。
The water used by the coolant is heated by the reactor.
確か50度以上だったかな。 耐えられる暑さではないよ。
So he'll just get boiled alive. So it really was impossible to escape through the pipe, in a number of ways. Wadase's shoulders slumped in disappointment.
そうか、いいアイディアだと思ったんだが。
残念ながらパイプからの脱出なんて案は僕だって真っ先に考えたさ。だが今までそれを口にしなかったのはそもそも不可能だからだ。だいたいこの辺りの話は隊長さんには記憶を失う前にも説明したはずだがね。
Those sarcastic words hit too close to home.
そうなのか。悪いが、そのことも全く覚えていない。
だとしたら記憶の混濁なんてレベルではないな。何も覚えていないのかね。君が地下に降りてきた理由も救助すべき人の名も。
立花が言うには
So this ended up working out, so we'll save that. So I'm guessing this would be something where it may be something where it's like we either kind of brush him off and be like, hey, who the fuck are you to question my amnesia? Or it'd be like, well, maybe you do have a point. We'll see. Ukita went quiet. He looked at Wadase with a somewhat doubtful expression. Realizing it was only natural for Ukita to be that way, Wadase continued.
残念ながらこれ本当のことなんだ。頼りないレスキュー隊長ですまない。
じゃあ君はさっきそんな状態だというのに危険を冒してまでみんなの分の AD を取りに行ったわけか。
ああ、今の俺にできることはそう多くないからな。記憶がなくても体力はある。知識がない分体動かさなきゃと思ってさ。
ガスよりも放射線が怖いというわけかね。
そりゃな、 AD が足りなくなるのが一番怖いだろう。だけどガスの中駆けずり回ったおかげでどうにかまた1時間生きながらえたぞ。
Ukita stared at Wadase for a while, but eventually settled for a snort.
それは確かに大したものだな。礼を言っておくよ。ありがとう。
なんだよ急に。おっさんに褒められてもそんなに嬉しくはないぞ。
おっさんって僕はまだ35
You're
だぞ。
35?
そう年も変わらないじゃないか。
No, this guy with the fucking eagle's peak, the crow's peak, and fully white hair is 35.
そういえばそうか。ま、おっさん同士力を合わせて女の子たちを助けていこうぜ。
He thought it was a bit rude, but he felt feelings of kinship towards Ukita welling up inside him when he called the latter old man. That term felt like it naturally suited Ukita, probably because his appearance and white hair made him look much older than he actually was. Ukita didn't particularly seem to mind. However, he came to a sudden stop.
おっと、着いたぞ。これだ。
Wadase looked and saw that there were countless valves next to the tank.
何かの理由でこれらのバルブが閉ざされてたらしいな。
やっぱ点検でもしてたのか。
今となってはわからんね。
Or
とも
maybe
かくこ
somebody
れを
shut
解
them
放
on
すれば
purpose. Who
消火
knows?
システムは復帰するはずだ。
よし、おっさん手伝ってくれ。
After that exchange, Wadase and Ukita turned the valves on one after another. The tank began to groan, and the pipes connecting to it all started vibrating all at once.
よし、これで問題はなさそうだな。
これで N エリアの火災も収まってくれればいいんだが。
いや、残念ながらあの場所の消火システムはこことは別系統のようなんだ。
そうか。
But just having the fires in the other areas all taken care of was more than
と
enough.
りあえずこのことをみんなに報告するか。
いや、僕はしばらくここに留まって正常に運転してるか確認しておこう。
すまないな。頼むよ。
Wadase then parted ways with Ukita and headed back to Kazumi. When he got back to the ladder area, Kazumi called out to him.
お帰りなさい隊長。
Yuri was still lying on the floor, but Jun and Anna were already up and about.
おう、二人とも復活したのか。
世話かけたわね。
隊長、面目ない。勇ましく出て行った直後に倒れるなんてとんだ恥さらしだよ。
何言ってんだ。お前のおかげでゲートを開けられたんだぜ。面目ないなんてことねえよ。
そう
そうさ、胸を張れよ。
今日の隊長、なんか優しいな。
A smile rose up to Jun's pale face. Kazumi also seemed relieved.
そう おかげさまで AD も手に入れることができましたしね。
AD 見つかったの？
ああ、お前たちが気絶しているうちに投与もしておいたよ。
よかった。これでひとまず安心だね。
そうね。消化システムもどうやら再起動できたようだし。
ああ、これで火にやられる危険性は激減するぞ。
それに下界の火元が鎮火されればやがて普通に歩けるようになるでしょう。
で、消化と換気が終わるまでどのくらいかかるのかしら。
どうでしょう。10分くらいはかかると思いますが。
It was a bit troubling that they were stuck here for a while, but now that I think about it, all of us must be tired. If someone with a body like Watase was tired, then it was probably worse for everyone else.
じゃあ有利の意識も回復してないことだし、それまで休憩にしないか。
そうですね。どうせ身動き取れませんし。
賛成。
I say this is a well-deserved rest. After all this stuff. And so the group decided to take a rest while the sprinkler system did its work. Watase, Kazumi, Jun, and Anna sat in a circle on the floor. No sooner had they done so than did 2 hours worth of fatigue hit them all simultaneously, bringing a collective sigh from the group. When Watase breathed, a faint ache throbbed in his rib that had been injured in the flashover earlier. They'd been hurting for a while. Were they cracked? The group had been accumulating not just fatigue, but injuries as well.
森紅先生、体の調子はどうだ？
ちょっと指先がしびれるけど平気だよ。
私も。
Oops.
立花は？
私も問題ありません。例の肌がしびれるような感覚等も AD を投与したら消えました。
そうか、何よりだ。
Which meant that it really had been radiation exposure that was responsible for the bad shape she'd been in lately.
AD の効果ってのはやっぱかなり高いみたいだね。即座に効果が出るなんてさ。
いくらなんでも早く効きすぎですけどね。体調不良も薬の効用もどちらも気のせいかもしれません。いわゆるプラシーボというやつかと。
でも AD はあった方がいいぞ。
Watase glanced at his Procyon as he said that. The readings had gone up again.
見ろ、現在3090ミリシーベルト。遠からず第一危険基準値の4000ミリシーベルトを超えそうだ。
そうなるとますます AD が重要になってきますね。チェルノブイリ原発事故の際にも4000ミリシーベルト以上の環境下で自己処理作業を行った人がいたそうです。その環境下にいた作業員の死亡率は一説には 100% と。
Everyone's faces froze over.
AD がない時代の話とはいえ 100% か。
だんだん感覚が麻痺してきてるけど、普通に考えたらものすごい放射線の中にいるのよね。天川君たち AD を持っていればいいけど。
先生、そう焦るなよ。空のメディカル
Oh fuck, my bad. Excuse me. The fact that we've seen empty medical boxes in AD means that there's a high chance they found some too, said Watase.
そうだよ椿山さん。急ぎすぎても危険なだけだよ。今はまず体を休めよう。
そうよね。
Anna gave a weary smile. She'd usually been so sharp-tongued, but now, perhaps as a result of her own fatigue catching up with her, she seemed to have calmed down.
椿山さん、本当はかなり辛いのではありませんか？
正直それなりにね。走り詰めで疲れが溜まってきてるし、さらに弱音を吐いちゃうと朝から何も食べてないから。
Watase then noticed his own hunger. He didn't know when the last time he'd eaten was, but his stomach felt empty.
でも俺は空腹より渇きの方がきつい。火や煙にいぶされつつ走ったり飛んだりで喉がもうカラカラだ。
そうね。どこかで水を探したいわね。
いえ、やめた方がいいでしょ
Yeah, all the water's probably gonna be hyper fucking contaminated.
なぜ？
この施設内にある水はすでに放射能汚染されている可能性が高いです。そんなものを飲んだら体の内側から被爆しますよ。
マジかよ。
内部被爆って言うんだよ。そうなったらさすがに AD でも被爆を防げなくなっちゃうかもだよ。
Ugh, excuse me. Man, I'm yawning a lot. That meant they'd have to go without even drinking while they were here. It'd be another 7 hours at most. That thought was quite disheartening to say the least.
もうどうしてこんなことに。昨日までは平穏の中にいたのに、人生一寸先は闇ね。
Dark clouds of depression began gradually shrouding all those there. Jun quickly spoke up in a cheery voice as if to blow them away.
ねえ椿山さん、暗い話はやめようよ。私たちが必ず椿山さんも生徒たちも助けるからさ。
ごめんなさい、ちょっと弱気になっていたみたい。もしこんなところで死んでしまったらなんて思うと。
やめろよ、縁起でもない。
そんなことを言ってはダメですよ。弱気は危険を倍化させます。
Preach!
まったくだよ。ここで誰かを死なせるつもりなんて私にはさらさらないからね。
Yeah, I can never imagine any of us dying, especially not to something like, I don't know, an explosion or something.
強いのね。
I know hung her head down and quietly muttered that.
ごめんなさい。今までいろいろ失礼なことを言って。あなたたち、さすがはレスキュー隊だわ。私は何の役にも立たないくせに口ばかり達者で。
いや、そのいいんだよ、気にしないで。
ええ、誰であれこんな状況に置かれたら気が立つのは当然です。
でもこれからは皆さんの言うことを聞くようにするわ。
それがいいな。喧嘩ばっかしてるよりこうして仲良くしてる方が嬉しいよ。
そう？
ほら、俺なんか気が弱いからさ、女の子同士の喧嘩とか傍から見ていて胃が痛いんだ。
何情けないこと言ってるのよ。
うわー、普段の体調からは絶対出てこないような言葉だ。
そんな一面もあったんですね。
Squad. Everyone chuckled at Watsei's lighthearted joke. The tension finally appeared to be loosening up.
まあなんだ、どうせするなら明るい話をしようぜ。
明るい話？そんな材料があるかしら。
あ、一個あるよ。体調について見直したこと。
ん？
取れたてのネタだよ。さっきはかっこよかったね、隊長。
さっきとは？
私とゆうりちゃんを背負ってガスの中を走った時さ。
なんだ、意識あったのか。
うっすらとね。しかし隊長らしからぬ熱い行動だったね。
私も覚えてるわ。立花さんに2人背負ってくださいって言われた時、間髪入れず任せろって言ってたわね。
What can I say? I'm just a cool guy.
そりゃ考えてる時間がなかったから。
謙遜しないで。男らしくて素敵だったわよ。
Well, I mean, Anna, you know, you're pretty womanly yourself. Manly and womanly, they just go together. Wadase felt a bit taken aback by someone calling him incredible right to his face.
なんだよ、急に手のひら返したように。最初は頼りないとか言ってたじゃないか。
そういう人がいざという時に頑張ったりすると余計に素敵に見えるものでしょ。
だからな、そのな。
あら照れちゃって。いい年なのに結構純情なのね。
はあ、何椿山さん、それってもしかして体調口説いてんの？
さあ、どうかしらね。
Anna's giggle made it impossible to tell what she was truly feeling. But still. Oh wait, what? Who did I lose points with? Wow, that's crazy. I lost a point with Kazumi. That's fucking crazy. I wonder, is there a way to like mitigate that? Because again, I think,
そのな。
well, for one, we still have this fucking locket. Like, there was a whole scene where it was like, oh yeah, she landed on top of me and I grabbed her rough-looking locket. What? We haven't done anything with that. Alright, what if we lowered it like a little bit, like halfway? Let's see what happens.
あら照れちゃっ
はあ
さあ
Okay, no, that still happened. Oops. I wonder if you just crank her all the way down to the bottom.
だからな、そのな。
あら照れちゃっさあ
Wadase shook his head in mild exasperation.
先生よ、こんな時にあんまりからかうもんじゃないぞ。
あらこんな時だからこそよ吊り橋
So we just had to lower that all the way to not lose anything. Although, I mean, it's like, what's better? First off, at this point, it's purely between Enna and Kazumi. These are two babes in their own right. So it's like, you know, I don't know.
吊り橋効果？
危機的状況だと異性がより素敵に見えるって心理効果のこと。生理的に発生する動機を恋愛時の高揚と錯覚するの。
なるほどね。
It was a logical explanation truly befitting of a teacher. But just as Wadase thought that,
椿山さん、それはまさしく錯覚ですよ。
Kazumi interjected with a cold voice.
何？
普段の体調ならいざ知らず、今日の体調はいつもの体調の7割減くらいですので。
立花、お前結構きついな。
そう超きついんだよね特に男には。そのせいでせっかくこんな美人なのにいまいちモテないんだよ。
余計なお世話ですよ、
Oh.
森部。
I think we'll leave it at max, right?
それももったいない話ね。綺麗で凛々しくて有能で私が男なら放っておかないのにね。
椿山さんも森部のヨタ話に乗らないように。
A thought suddenly crossed Watase's mind as he heard that conversation. True, she really is beautiful. But like Jun said, she definitely had a harsh attitude to her that could turn men away. He could understand why in this situation, but he had a hard time imagining what Kazumi was like in her day-to-day life. I wonder what she looks like in normal clothes, as though I'd say her uniform suits her better than any fashionable clothes or accessories ever could. Watase suddenly remembered something at that moment. Oh yeah, speaking of accessories. No fucking way, I was just talking about that locket. Watase reached into his pocket and pulled out the locket with the broken chain. He spotted it and picked it up by chance when Kazumi saved him back in Area 3. I gotta give this back to her. Watase pinched the locket as he thought this. It opened up, and when he did, revealed a photo inside. It was a picture of a sour-faced man with a somewhat stern look in his eyes. Who's this guy? Something about his face pisses me off for some reason. As Watase pondered this,
隊長、そのロケットどうして隊長が？
ああ、すまん。ちょい前に拾ったんだが渡すのを忘れて。
返してください。
あ
Kazumi snatched the locket away from Watase before he even had time to say anything.
なんか見たんですね。
そんなに怒ることないだろう。彼氏の写真なんて減るもんじゃないんだし。
彼氏の写真？
興味深いわね。見せてもらってもいいかしら。
ダメです。断固拒否します。
あらお堅い。っていうかロケットとは古風ね、立花さん。
Oh god.
昔から下げてるものだからね。お姉ちゃんのトレードマークだよ。
Kazumi furrowed her brows at that last part.
森部、任務中は副隊長と呼ぶようにといつも言っているでしょ。
今お姉ちゃんって言ったか？
姉妹には見えないし名字も違うけど。
ああ、私たち家が近所でさ、子供の頃からの付き合いなんだよ。
とはいえ公私混同はやめなさいと言っているのですが。
Well, that makes me curious, because, like, for one, she didn't deny the whole boyfriend thing. But I always thought it was us and Kazumi that had a thing going on. But at that same point, maybe it was our face in that photo. I mean, it would kind of make sense, right? Like, oh, she has the face of a sour-faced man. And the way the way that both of them describe how we used to be like was very straight-laced, professional, you know, all business kind of guy. So maybe that actually was us.
いいじゃん、休憩中くらいね、お姉ちゃん。
だからやめなさいというのに。
Oh, my arm. Ow. Cosme gave an exasperated sigh, and the rest of the group laughed. It was the first time since they'd arrived at this facility. No, it was the first time since Watase woke up that they'd ever had such a moment of peace. But that tranquility didn't last long, for the sound of Ukida's voice soon brought them all back to reality.
おーいみんな消火システムは正常運転中だ。そろそろ階下に降りても大丈夫そうだぞ。
Alright, all business. Back to business. Watase looked over to see Ukida running towards the rest of them. Oops. At that very moment, Yuri awakened.
ここ
よかった。気がついたみたいよ。
Yuri sat up and looked around in confusion. It didn't appear there was anything wrong with her body.
ガスを吸って倒れたんだよ。でももう大丈夫だからな。
隊長、ユーリちゃんを背負って走ったんだよ。覚えてない？
Yuri looked back and forth between Watase and June with a bewildered look on her face.
ありがとうございました。
Then nervously thanked them.
いや、なんてことないさ。ユーリもモリベも軽かったからな。それよりユーリ、歩けそうか？
大丈夫そうです。
ではユーリさんが目覚めたところで今後のことを話しましょう。
Cosme took out her PDA and began her explanation.
まず我々の現在位置がここ、そしてそこのはしごを降りた部屋が地下1階第3エリア外周棟のこの部屋です。ラボ内の火災が消えたことで捜索は安全になり行動範囲も多少広がりましたが、火災がひどかったエリアでは AD も消失している可能性が高いです。
確かに。でもそりゃちょっとまずいな。
They were now down to only one AD ampule, but they'd searched almost the entirety of areas 1 through 4.
第5エリアに捜索範囲を広げたいがカードがないんだよな。
そう、相変わらずレベル5のセキュリティカードが見つかってません。我々の行動範囲は第4エリアまでです。
まだ未捜索のところに行ってカードを探す？
未捜索のところというと、
Watase touched the PDA, causing the screen to display to switch.
まずこのすぐ下、さっきまでガスが充満していた外周棟か。
あそこは焦って捜索したからカードがあるかまでは確認してませんね。
あとはルイーズちゃんと遭遇した第4エリア外周棟地下2階かな。
内周棟はもう汚染されてたからな。探すとしたらその2箇所か。
可能性は薄いかもしれないけどやってみるしかないわね。
ですね。
だが可能性もそこまで薄くはないんじゃないかね。第4エリアになら普段第5エリアに出入りしていた研究員もいたかもしれない。あの避難のどさくさでセキュリティカードを置き忘れていった研究員が1人くらいいてもおかしくないさ。
そうか。
Then there was still hope. Starting up the sprinkler system was nothing more than a way of increasing the search field. In the end, it didn't change that the group needed to find survivors and AD. And also a level 5 card to progress onwards and an exit.
それでは皆さん、病み上がりに恐縮ですが、
Oh, my arm.
もう一丁行きますか。
ええ、
The 3 survivors all gave a firm nod. Everyone's probably getting exhausted, but no one showed any signs of that on their faces. It seemed like the prior incident had managed to bring the group closer together.
だけどみんな無理はするなよ。やばかったら言ってくれ。
Ow. Everything hurts. My body hurts. Ow.
心配ご無用よ。
Oh, with Jun. Interesting. Just in case, we'll save. The group headed towards the ladder while feeling a sense of trust behind those words. Excuse me. Why is that popping up with June? We'll see. They went out into the hallway to find that all the fire, smoke, and gas were now gone.
排水も終わってるし、もう問題ないようだな。まずはこのエリアでカードを探そう。
皆さん、一応ガスなどに気をつけてください。 少しでも異臭を感じたら退避するように願います。
Everyone nodded. The group split up and began searching the area. But then June spoke up.
待って隊長、火が出てた部屋がどこかわかる？
ああ、あの奥の部屋だが。
じゃあその部屋の捜索に付き合ってもらえるかな。万が一のことがあるから安全を確認したいし。
Why did it give me that option before I even had a chance to know what the context behind it was? Wadase could feel a slight hint of nervousness in Jun's voice. Well, it hasn't been long since she fainted. No, maybe the reason was trying to be maybe the reason she was trying to be so proactive was in order to get rid of the fear she still felt from that incident. Once he realized what she was thinking, Wadase nodded.
ああ、だが気をつけていこう。まだガスが残ってるかもしれないしな。
了解。
Wadase and Jun fired themselves up and went into the room. It had completely burnt to a crisp. Jun looked around the scorched room and quietly spoke.
火は完全に消えてるみたいだけど。
これじゃカードがあっても焼けちまってるか。
Wadase was about to leave the room, but spotted some documents at his feet before he could. They were sopping wet from the sprinkler's extinguishing agents, so the letters were blurred, but he could still read the word disaster on the front.
これは。
何？
Wadase and Jun picked it up and drew their heads close so they could look over it together. Labo Fire Incident. July 10th, 2021. Oh. All relevant parties are most likely already aware of the fire that occurred in this facility 3 days ago, July 7th, 2021. Although the worst possible outcome was averted at the last moment, there were inadequacies found in multiple This document contains a compilation of the problems hinted at by this incident. The cause of the fire, blank of senior fellow S has been appointed as an administrator of blank. As a result, he had quite a great number of opportunities to come into contact with research results. About 3 months later, Esco blank, he took the power generator gasoline stored blank, set them all on fire, and intentionally caused the blank. He also unblank row. This is nothing more than a guess. Seen blank is quite high. Furthermore, these research results, designated as N amongst blank. Also, while this is not directly blank, 2 children infiltrated the facility on the day of the incident as a most unfortunate time. Blank for children to have found and exploited a hole in our security. This is quite frankly the epitome of carelessness for our security systems, and 2 lives were lost as a result. We must all learn a lesson from this incident. Strengthening blank E alone doesn't guarantee us any safety whatsoever. There's an urgent need to have the specifications of Case N reviewed and for the security systems to be enhanced. Otherwise, we may foresee yet a repeat of this tragedy. Blank Mike and Biological Organization System Security Chief Isao Kawada. So I guess there was a fire that some guy purposefully set. Some children snuck inside and died during it. Something like that. It appeared to be a record regarding a fire that happened in the facility in the past.
2021年。
Jun muttered that in a grim voice.
ああ、確か今年は2030年だったな。
うん。今から9年前の話だね。
こんな火災あったかどうか覚えてるか？
私は当時小学生だったけど、うっすら覚えてる。確か子供が亡くなったんだよ。火事自体よりその後の騒ぎの方が印象的だったな。
その後の騒ぎって？
その子は病院に搬送された後で亡くなったんだけど、当初はスキャンダラスに報道されたんだ。死因は被爆によるものなんじゃないか。火災がきっかけで放射能漏れでも起こしたんじゃないかってさ。
何？
まあそんなのは一部の人間が騒いだだけですぐに報道も噂も収束したけど、子供が亡くなったことは確かだからね。
そう考えると辛いな。
2021 was a real bad year.
ひどい年だったんだね。
Yeah, I mean, well, there was also like, worldwide pandemic and all that, but, just saying. Jun looked back at the report.
最悪の事態は回避できたってことは、その時はケース N は発生しなかったんだろうけど。
結局悲劇が繰り返されてるんじゃねえかよ。
Wadasei's and Jun's voices were tinged with bitterness. The security system must never have been enhanced.
だったらせめて今回はこれ以上犠牲者を出さないようにしてやろうぜ。
だね。必ずみんなを助けて私たちも脱出しよう。
Wadasei and Jun nodded at each other and left the room. A thought crossed Wadasei's mind as he ran through the Area 4 connecting passageway. Moribe is absolutely right. Just because the sprinkler system's finally on doesn't mean that the survivors are safe. If they'd been in an area that had been on fire up until a few minutes ago, there's a big chance they'd already burned to death. The fear of being cornered by flames had now been replaced with the fear that the flames had already cornered someone else. I just hope the survivors escaped to Area 5. If nothing else, I hope that we could at least find a card into Area 4. For us finally to go on into an area only to find bodies. Yeah, I'd rather not have that outcome. For everyone else was probably thinking the same thing. The group said nothing and continued running down the halls. They soon arrived at B2 of Area 4's outer ring. The hall had been horribly damaged from the flashover that had scorched it earlier. The Procon's alarm beeped, its reading at 5,322 MSV. As long as they had 80 in their system, all of them could probably handle that level.
通路はひどいありさまですが、各部屋の中はきっと無事のはずです。大部屋と通路、それからエレベーターホール。
内周島は汚染区域だけど。
ここで見つからなかったらやむを得ないかもしれません。その際は私が捜索を行います。
何言ってんだ立花。お前は満足に AD を投与してない状態で1時間も過ごしてたんだぞ。
Wait, what? I didn't see that. What the fuck? I didn't even notice that come up.
通路はひどいありさまですが、各部屋の中はきっと無事のはずです。
Okay, well, let's just see what happens.
何？累積被曝量もやばい数値になってるはずだ。少しは体のことを考えろ。汚染区域に行くなら俺が言ってやる。
隊長、わかりました。とにかく今は
That's definitely our face in that locket. No way it's not. Kazumi then began rapidly issuing off orders.
隊長と椿山さんは通路とエレベーターホールをお願いします。それ以外の方々は私と共に大部屋を捜索しましょう。
俺と先生だけでいいのか？
ええ、そろそろ隊長も慣れてきたかと思いますので。
わかったわ。
Kazumi had a point. Two people were probably enough to just take care of the hallways and elevator hall. Wadasei and Anna immediately got to searching the outer ring. Save. They silently walked through the hallway. Well, hers is all the way low, so let me max it out for the time being. The normally loudmouth Anna was surprisingly quiet. Another bad thought hit Wadasei's mind as the silence took hold of him. What if they looked around the corner? Wait, shit, fuck. That was short! That was so short! Alright, well, I was meaning to up it anyway, okay? There we go.
どうした先生？やっぱり生徒が心配か？
え？
大丈夫だよ。監視カメラの映像によれば、彼らは第5エリア以降にいる可能性が高い。このエリアの火災に巻き込まれたりはしてないはずだ。
Wadasei said that knowing he was trying to convince himself of it as much as he was trying to convince Anna. He was doing his best to avoid bringing up that Anna had seen one of her students in this very area almost an hour ago. But Anna still looked glum.
ヒモは心配だけど、やっぱり放射線のことが気にかかるの。だってさっきプロキオンの数値は5000ミリシーベルトを超えていたじゃない？なんだか実感が湧かないけど、これって本来ならとんでもなく異常な数値でしょ？ AD でも被爆を塞ぎきれるかわからないんだし。
The first danger standard was 4,000 to 8,000 MSV, which referred to an area that they wouldn't want to stay in for too long even with AD.
要救助者だけじゃなく、俺たちもあまり長いはしない方がいいか。
そうね。特に私と立花さんは。
立花はわかるが、どうして先生も？
忘れたの隊長さん。私は隊長さんたちに会うまで AD なしで過ごしてたのよ。
Wadasei was filled with shock. Now that he thought about it, she was absolutely right. Anna hadn't even known about the meltdown until the group had told her.
プロキオの数値がまだ低い頃だから累計被爆量は大したことないと思うけど。
いや待て先生、そうは言うが用心するに越したことはないんじゃないか。立花に行ってこのエリアの捜索から外れてもらうとか。
あら、冗談じゃないわよ。みんなが頑張ってるのに私だけ休んでられないわ。
Wadase took a long, hard look at Anna's face. He'd only thought of her as a naggy woman, but...
先生、あんたすごいな。
え？何が？
なんていうか芯が強いっていうか、とにかくすごい女だ。
もしかして惚れそう？
ちょっとな。
Whoa. Player's gonna play! Anna completely went quiet in a second.
隊長さん、冗談言ってる場合じゃないでしょ。
何？先に冗談言ったのは先生だろ。
あ、そうね。分かったわよ。自重するわよ。
Listen, Anna, I might already have something going on with Cosme. That don't mean you can't be on the side, alright? You know what they say? What's a full course meal if you ain't got the entree, the main dish, and then some dessert, right? I mean, come on. We got room in there. Anna looked away when she said
く
that.
だらない話はやめにして捜索に邁進しましょう。
なあ。
Wadase nodded after a bit of thinking, then focused on the search. He and Anna finished searching the hallway and headed on over to the elevator hall. When they approached the door,
あら、何かしらこの匂い。
Anna sniffed the air.
ほら、どこかから美味しそうな匂いが。
Anna's face had frozen over before she could finish. Just then, Watase's nose took hold of that smell. His mouth started watering and his stomach started rumbling, both conditioned reflexes to that particular scent. But Watase was shuddering, because the something delicious that he and Anna were smelling was a scent of grilled meat. No. Please, no. The smell was wafting in from behind the door to the elevator hall. Don't tell me that smell is... Watase opened the door with his hands that were shaking like crazy. And spotted the source of the smell. Hollow gasps escaped from Watase and Anna's mouths. Their hunger instantly turned to nausea. Legs burnt to charcoal. Melted body fat dripping to the floor. A horribly charred protection suit. A fire axe gripped firmly in the hand. Rescue squad equipment. He didn't recognize their face, but he could tell with the glance that this was one of their squad mates who went to the basement. Hiyama.
Hiyama!
A scream burst out from deep within his lungs.
Hiyama! Oi! Hiyama!
Watase ran over to him and called his name, but naturally, the body didn't even twitch. He'd already known from the moment he'd seen them that it was far too late. Watase then heard voices and footsteps rapidly approaching from behind.
どうしました？
Watase's scream had sent Kazumi and Jun running over. He paid them no heed and touched Hiyama's body. He could tell how rigid the latter was even through the protection suit.
ダメだ。もう死んでる。
Watase's proclamation was followed by cries of grief.
そんな檜山先輩まで。
He could hear Jun's tearful voice echo behind him. Watase couldn't feel sad. He just searched Hiyama's body with gloomy clouds shrouding his heart. Hiyama's legs had been bent into strange shapes at the knees. His legs were broken. He'd probably been trying to escape from the fire to the bitter end. He came across the inferno in Area 4, got caught by the fire, and yet crawled all the way over to the elevator hall trying to cling on to whatever life he'd had left, and then breathed his last at the spot.
Hiyama.
Watase lamented at the death of his squad mate he didn't even remember. And next to the body, lying there as if it were Hiyama's last will and testament to his squad mates, was a security card that read Level 6. I think we're gonna go ahead and end it off there. think it's a pretty good place to end. Okay, so let's go back to the title real quick. Alrighty, so I feel like every time with these videos, like some shit happens at the very end, right when we're ending it off. So clearly we have some pretty good group chemistry going on. Everybody's getting along well with each other. Even, you know, Ukida with his suspicions about our amnesia has kind of waned off. We seem to be pretty close knit at this point, and we're all very determined to work together to make it out of here alive. Yuri, again, still a very big mystery. But she's also still being very helpful. Still some more weird stuff like, oh, my mom doesn't want me to have a PDA. I mean, that's basically like in the modern day when it's like, yeah, I don't want my child to have, you know, a phone, right? It's just something that's not very common. So, you could argue whether that makes her suspicious or not. But then obviously the highlight here is the fact that we found another dead body. Another dead body that has been horribly fucking mangled, right? Now, this one, just the way the body's splayed out, he might have legitimately died because of fighting a fire. It's not impossible that, you know, maybe an explosion happened, something fell on his leg, broke his leg, got caught briefly in the fire, and then, you know, he crawled away, but then ended up dying to the wounds, right? That's not impossible. My immediate thing is, obviously, okay, so now we have a level 6 card. That kind of takes care of everything. We have access now to the entire facility. We can go pretty much anywhere we want, I believe, except the actual area N with the nuclear reactor in it, which not that we would want to go there anyway. He also has his mask still. Although I'm not sure if that's a part of this, just like a part of the suit, or if that's a mask that we can actually use in combination with the oxygen tank. Another thing, he has an axe. The only reason that really caught my attention is obviously, I mean, you know, right here we have an axe. I mean, that's another thing I want to kind of comment on. This whole thing here is so weird. I mean, it looks like you have what appears to be like 3 different chairs with 2 of them smashed and bloodied by the axe. I mean, I don't know what that's supposed to insinuate. And you know, there's like blood and flesh chunks, it looks like, all around the place. So pretty weird. But I hope that we do also end up taking the axe as well, because I think that's going to be pretty important. If we ever did end up having to fight somebody or something. But yeah, I mean, we've at the very least gained ourselves another hour of life. But you got to keep in mind, by the time we got those extra ampules of AD, we still have 7 hours left. Out of the presumed 8 to 9 hours, we still have 7 hours of that left. So again, you know, doing the math, we have 6 people here, and each of them need an ampule of AD every 7 hours. So that's, 42 ampules of AD is what we need to find. And after searching, like, what? At this point, like 3 different areas, 3 to 4 different areas. At most, we found, I think they initially found like 5. And then they each had about 2 on them per person. And then we just found another like 7. Right, so far in total, we've only collected about 18 ampules of AD. And that's including the stuff that was given to us before we entered the research facility in our rescue attempt. So the idea of needing to find at least 42 more ampules for all 6 of us to make it through this is it's optimistic. To put it nicely, it's very optimistic. but we'll just have to see how that goes, I guess. I'm still trying to figure out. Well, I feel a little bit more confident in the whole sympathy system. I think it really does like matter case to case in what it'll do. Because again, we've seen a couple different scenarios. We've seen it where it feels pretty point blank, right? Like, hey, we've seen it where it seemingly acts as like a confidence thing. Like, do I have confidence in myself? Do I not? We've seen it where it's like, do I put trust in this person? Do I not? Do I? We've seen it where it's like, do I go along with this person's actions? Do I not? So it seems like it is a very case-to-case basis. And I mean, even again, it's like sometimes it doesn't even give you any context. Like when it had us go with June, decide to go with June or not, right at the end there to search that burnt-up office. It didn't give us any context as to what decision we were making. It just like was there for like 2 sentences, went away, and then June was like, "Hey, you want to come with me?" So it's tricky. It's fun. It is fun, but it's definitely tricky. But we will just have to. Well, first off, I know that again, this whole killer/monster thing is going to be a plot point. So I have kind of 2 things I'm wondering right now. When is the killer/monster going to become like a quote unquote primary plot point? And then also, when is this group ever going to come into contact with the students running around, or is what the students are doing, is that going to be like a completely different thing that we're just going to have to wait until we get to Route B to see? So, and then obviously it does feel like they're kind of building up a bit of like a mystery behind how this event happened, how it all kind of went awry, the fact that the sprinklers were off during this maintenance and there seemed to be a similar incident beforehand and the security was never really addressed or enhanced, and yada yada yada, what all this story building and world building means. So there's still a lot to go over, a lot to discover, and we're gonna have to do that all in the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the video and tell me in the comment section below what you'd like to see me play next. If you enjoyed this video or any other videos or series on my channel, then I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you'll be notified when a new one of those videos comes out. Anyways, that's it from me, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.